Hey, basketball coaches, players, or just fans. Today, I'm going to talk to you about how you can turn basketball into a full-time career like I have. So stay tuned. Okay, so there's a few different ways how you can turn basketball into a full-time career. Number one is obviously you could be a basketball player. That is one fantastic option. However, you really need to be one of the top skilled players to really even get looked at, and then athletics even helps that out even better. However, every single career path that I'm going to talk to you about today is 100% all down to how much effort you put in. So if you're not putting in effort to be a player, then obviously you're not going to be a professional paid basketball player. Next is a basketball trainer. You don't necessarily have to be the most skilled or the most athletic. I'm very skilled. I'm not very athletic. And however, I'm able to teach players basketball mainly because I know a ton about basketball. I have been researching basketball in general my whole life. And I've been playing basketball my whole life. Since around grade 1, I've been playing against other people. So, if you know a ton about basketball, then you can become a trainer, but you have to remember, you have to put in the work to actually know about the sport, and it helps if you have a little bit of a background, like I do in the sport, that can help you kind of promote yourself, and people will want to train with you. If you're a nobody and you're a high school phys ed teacher, which there are a few of those who are basketball trainers here in the city, generally speaking, the only players you're going to have are the players who are probably from your school. And at that point, you're not going to be really able to train them well enough if you don't have the playing history because you don't have the experience of playing. But if you have the coaching experience, let's say you've coached your high school team for the last 15 years, then you have the experience and the knowledge because you've probably done a ton of research over those 15 years on what makes a great player. So, that is one way of becoming a professional or a full-time person in basketball in general. In this case, it would be training basketball players. It also helps if you have certifications. In Canada, there's a coaching certification program called the National Coaching Certification Program, NCCP. I am currently halfway to a level 3. And here in Canada, I know US basketball has their own version of it as well. But here in Canada, there's level 1 where you can be a head coach up until grade 8, and then you can be an assistant coach from grade 9 and up. I know they've changed the wording. It's not necessarily level 1, 2, 3, all the way up to 5. They've got train to something else, and all the other fun, whatever words they're using now. But generally speaking, back when I was going through the programs, it was level 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Level 2, which is what I have fully, is where you can be a head coach throughout the whole high school age, an assistant coach at the university and college level. And then there's level 3, which is what I was building upon, and with that, you can be a head coach at the college or university level, and you can be an assistant coach at the international level. And then you got level 4 and 5, which basically combine, in my opinion, and that is when you can be a head coach or an assistant coach at the international level or a professional level. So, I know many different countries have their own kind of ways of doing things, but that's what it is here in Canada. And then there's also personal trainer certifications, which I have one as well through the YMCA when I used to work there. And basically with that, that's where you're going to learn about the muscles in your body, what to do, what not to do when it comes to physical activity. So, going from there, there's even more ways of turning basketball into a full-time career. Number 3 is a coach. I know at the lower levels, coaches are generally volunteers. However, you can subsidize yourself as a volunteer by training the players if, of course, again, you have the experience and the knowledge on what makes a good basketball player. Also, patience helps as well with younger players. But at the coach level as well, you can even use that to make yourself a social media presence, which is another way that you can turn basketball into a full-time career. What you're going to find out in most countries, especially Canada, is generally speaking, one of these lines of careers is not usually enough in sports. You generally need to subsidize it with another, which social media is my secondary, and there's a very good reason why I do that. So on social media, there's many different, there's Facebook, there's Instagram, Snapchat, TikTok now, YouTube. I am on most of those. I'm on Instagram mainly, and YouTube and Facebook. Those are kind of my three that I do. Don't have the time to do the rest, but I still post occasionally to TikTok. But going from there, there's ways of making money on social media, and it can be quite lucrative. So now, YouTube being the obvious, many people make money on YouTube. You need to have 1,000 subscribers, and you need to have a minimum of 4,000 watch hours, which is roughly 240,000 minutes within a year that people have been watching your videos. I generally hit 4,000 hours in a day or so it's not all that hard for me, but it does take a while to get up to that point. So if you're coaching and you're volunteering, you can see if you're allowed to record the players, the games, that kind of thing, throw it on your social media, and then if you can build a big enough influence, then you might be able to make money from that, and then you can basically make content where you're either breaking down NBA plays there, you can break down why a team did a certain thing. You could even go into almost like a TMZ type of channel where you're doing basketball news or sports news. There's so many different paths. I personally break down basketball plays, drills, and skills for basketball players and basketball coaches. But you can do whatever you would like. You don't have to worry about it being too late, because a lot of people say it's too late to make money on social media, but I just started a football channel 2 years ago and it's already making me money, so keep that in mind. There's also so many different paths that you can take on social media that can make you money. You can sell books if you've written any books. You can obviously make money off of the YouTube monetization program. I make like $2,500 a month off that alone. And then you can go into selling merchandise like shirts and shorts and things like that. And then you can get into selling programs or whatever else you may make or do. You can do Patreon. There's so many. But generally speaking, if you can make or do a couple of those things, do it for the next 5 years, you might just make yourself a business on the side or a main business that you can turn basketball into a full-time career. Because if you're like me and your mind just doesn't keep attention on anything else other than basketball, then this may be a fantastic route for yourself. Now, the reason why you want to have multiple strands or income streams, for number one, obviously I'm a basketball trainer here in Hamilton. Some years are better than others. You get trainers who just pop out of nowhere. They cut their prices down to $5 an hour, and then obviously a lot of the players who are thinking of becoming somebody good at basketball but don't have the money will go that way instead of towards myself or a few other trainers in the area who have been around for a while. And then that trainer finds out that it's obviously not profitable at $5 an hour, and they up their price. The players say, well, you weren't teaching me anything anyways, and then they come over back to us, and then that guy just kind of fizzles off into nothing, and things like that happen. Last year was a fantastic example of that. There were around 8 trainers in my local area, including myself, and now there's only 3 left because that exact thing happened. They only had one source of income, which was training basketball players, and obviously that revenue stream died off last summer because we had a whole bunch of high school and college kids say, hey, I can train basketball players at $5 an hour and pay for college because they can walk to a basketball court and train a player. So that was basically, even though it's less than minimum wage, they're still making money. But if they're doing that for 10 hours a day, I would still say that's better than working a job, because they have to deal with managers who don't know anything. And but anyways, I congratulate them because they found out a way of making money and not having to work for somebody, because working for somebody, in my opinion, sucks. I hate making money for other people. I like making money for myself. Again, this is not all about making money. I'm just saying that like I said earlier, my mind just doesn't focus on anything other than basketball. If it's not basketball, you have 30 seconds to explain, and I'm gone. But anyways, that is how you can make basketball into a full-time career. So myself, I have the social media and I have the local players. And of course, I'm trying to grow both. So if you hit that like button and subscribe, I would love it. And I'll see you guys again tomorrow for another Twice a Day basketball video.